Hey guys, welcome back to another Barely Alive tutorial. I'm Willie, and today I'm going to talk about how to make cool build-ups. So what is a build-up? The build-up of a song in EDM, dubstep, house, different genres, it's all pretty much the same concept. You take the main theme of your song from the intro, and then you transition over 8 or sometimes 16 or maybe more, 24 bars, to a drop. And you do this in a way that maximizes the impact of the drop by taking out some of the low end, the bass instruments, building anticipation and tension, using risers, pitch bends, filters, and just making that moment where everyone knows the song's about to drop. So how do you do that? Well, we're gonna go into Ableton and make a build-up. Okay, so what we have here is a main theme and a drop, and it's missing a build-up, so we're gonna fill in the gaps here. So let me play the main theme for you. And here's the drop. Okay, now the first thing I would start when making a build-up is a riser. Every build-up needs a riser. So let's go into our sample pack here and find a nice riser. There we go. I'm just gonna unwarp this. And I'm going to cut it here because I want to save 1 bar for the pre-drop vocal. So now we have the basic foundation of our build-up with this riser. Next, I'm going to add a impact. And this just serves as a transition between the main theme and the beginning of the build-up. Next, I'm going to add a kick roll. And a kick roll is something you'll hear a lot in build-ups, which is basically just like a kick that starts getting faster. And you can do this with a snare as well. It really doesn't matter. Kick is more common, I think. So I'm going to load up a kick drum here. I'm going to make my MIDI clip. I'm going to start out with quarter notes for 4 bars, then 8th notes, and then 16th notes. Now, I'm going to add a percussion loop to add energy and hype to this build-up. So I'm going to go into my drum loops folder. Find something like that. Mix it down a bit. And you know what? I'm going to add a snare roll on top of the kick roll, just for a little extra buildiness. So I'm going to take like an 808 snare. Nothing like crazy, just a little something. I'm just going to do 16th notes the whole time. I'm going to filter it in. So take this frequency here and get the automation and just automate it up. Another thing I'm going to do is automate the pitch. So go to transpose here, automate, and go up. Next, we're going to find a vocal loop. And I have one in mind right here. And now that I have this vocal loop, I'm going to consolidate this second part of it and pitch it up, automate the pitch. So get the clip transposition, bring it up 12. And what I just did there with consolidating and complex warp clip transpose, that's something you can do with all sorts of sounds in a build-up to make them sort of rise up in pitch. And now that that's done, we need our pre-drop sample, which is the most important part of the build-up. This is the identity of your song. This is the part that everyone yells before the drop happens. So let's get a vocal sample here. Like this one.
We are barely alive.
Because I need to remind people that we are barely alive, or else they will forget. Last thing you cannot forget, if you're me, if you're us, you need to remember to use this sample, verse 2. But that only applies to us.
We are barely alive.
That's it. Those are the essential elements of making a build-up. Now let's listen to our beautiful work.
We are barely alive.
Okay, so you have all the tools you need to make a build-up, but it's just a build-up. It's not that cool. Well, let me give you some advanced tips on how to make your build-ups super awesome. First tip, use a utility to automate the master gain and the stereo width. Now, I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's get a utility on the master and open up automation for the gain. Make a point at 0 at the beginning of the build-up and at the drop here. Now, make another point and bring it down like this to like -4 or something. Actually, -3. Now, what this does is it's going to turn down the master gain of the song during the build-up until just when the drop happens. So by the time the pre-drop happens, the song is actually 3 decibels quieter, but since it's happened gradually, you don't really notice. And then when the drop comes in, it goes back to 0 and it sounds super loud, even though you actually haven't increased the volume of the drop. It's just kind of a subtle effect. And next, we don't want to do the same thing with the stereo width by taking the stereo field and kind of compressing it into the middle, making it more mono as the build happens, and then opening it back up for the drop. So same thing, we want to do 100% regular, normal at the beginning and the end, and then make a point and bring it down to, let's say, 50% width. And now let's listen to the difference that makes. So here's utility off. This is just what the build sounds like.
We are barely alive.
Now let's put this utility on, see the difference.
We are barely alive.
You can really feel that drop like slam in there now, which is pretty cool. Okay, so my next extra tip is going to be using a bass sound as a part of your build. So I don't have any stems from this drop here, so I'm just going to grab a bass sound. But if I was normally I would take one of the basses from the project and copy it over here, maybe resample it and loop it. So let me just grab a bass sound. Let's see. Cool. That sounds pretty similar actually. Might be the same sound, in fact. So let's just loop this. And now I'm going to increase the speed here by doing 1/8 notes.
We are barely alive.
And then I'm going to do the same thing I did with the vocal sample. Consolidate, warp, complex, clip transpose, automate, 12 semitones. So bring this up like that. Now, this has some bass content, some sub bass, and I want to get rid of that because I don't want to spoil the drop by adding sub bass in my buildup. I want to save all the bass for the drop. So I'm going to add a high pass filter at about 300 hertz. And also I'm going to add a low pass filter, and I'm going to automate the cutoff of this to slowly open like that.
We are barely alive.
And you can hear that sound kind of fading in and giving some anticipation of what's coming in the drop. Okay, now next pro tip I'm going to give you is add a big pause right here, a big gap, some silence. Silence is awesome. So let's just delete that. And in its place, we're going to put a drum fill. Now, I don't really have that many drum fills, so I'm just going to make one real quick. Let's get some snares in there. Unwarp that. Make it like that. Let's get a tom. And that just kind of breaks up the build a little bit and adds a cool effect. Now, another thing I like to do is use delay and reverb to blur out sounds or fade them in. So I'll show you how to do that. Let's take a delay, add it to the vocal loop channel. So this one. I'm going to put this on 8th notes, and I'm just going to make it filter a little bit, and then let's automate the dry wet to go from 0 to 50. I want it to be 0 here for the silence, and then I want it to cut back to 0 at the pre-drop, and then I'll show you what that sounds like.
Let me see you fucking jump. 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 Fucking jump. Fucking jump. Fucking jump.
I'm gonna turn on ping pong here so it spreads it in the stereo field.
Fucking jump. Fucking jump. Fucking jump. Fucking jump.
And there we go. And now, since we're fading in this bass sound, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite thing with reverb. So I'm going to put reverb on this bass channel. And I'm going to fade it in. So I'm going to start at 100, end at 0. And then I want it to be 0 here as well for the gap. So you can kind of hear how that sound is now. It sounds like it's coming towards you from far away. And it kind of, it suggests that like there's a drop coming. It's coming towards you, you know, that sort of thing. Another good thing to do is take a part of your main theme and use that as part of your buildup. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this chord here. And we're going to copy it over, just that first chord. We don't want to do a progression. We just want the one chord. We want to keep that going. Let's consolidate this. What we're going to do here is we're going to take out this bass note because we don't want too much bass in our buildup. And then we're just left with this. And then for the second half, we're going to do a pitch bend. So let's grab the pitch bend here. You'll notice I already have a little pitch bend in here to stop it from going nuts like Ableton always does. So I'm going to draw a pitch bend here. Oh yeah, we need to make this little gap here to fit with the fill. And now we have a sound. One of our main sounds has now become part of our buildup.
We are barely alive.
What we do need to do is cut that reverb tail. So let's use a utility, automate the mute, and mute it here, and mute it there. With the bass sound that we're filtering in, and this thing that we're kind of fading out, we're blending the main theme and the drop together in the build-up, which makes it a nice transition. put a saturator on this bass sound to make it louder because I can't really hear it. And we like to use a saturator just to make stuff loud, even if we're not really saturating it, because it's just a nice habit. You can tell it's really not saturating anything. We just like using this for drive. You could just do a utility or a limiter. Now I'm also going to increase the volume of the kick drum here using a saturator. What I'm also going to do is turn down the decay, make the kick a little bit shorter. And what that will do is take off some of the low-end bassy tail. Because you don't want to use too much low end in your build-up, like I said before. Another thing that's important is use a different kick for your build-up than you use in your drop. Maybe it's the same sample, but it's on a different channel. That allows you to kind of craft it and set it apart from your main drop kick. Which is this one. That one's super heavy, has a lot of low end, very loud. It's side chaining everything else like crazy. We don't really want that with our build-up kick. We just want like a regular kick. So now that we've made a cool build-up, I'm gonna go into this project and show you some Barely Alive songs, and I'm gonna analyze the build-ups in each of them. So the first one we're going to talk about is Spicy Future. Let me just play this for you.
Bring the house down, yeah. 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 Bring the house down. Bring the house down.
Let's go through this build up bit by bit. So first off, so the first thing I notice is that we have the vocal sample looping, the kick roll has begun, we hear some risers in the background, and we also hear a couple elements of the main theme still going. So this keyboard patch. It's not doing any sort of chord progression. It's sticking to that one chord, and that's important. You don't want your progressions going crazy in the build-up. So let's keep listening. Okay, so here's this little gap of silence with the drum fill in it, like I was talking about. Really fun little trick to do. Now here I've just added two new sounds. I've added this low sort of riser. It's kind of like a bassy sawtooth sort of thing that goes, and it's not too bassy, and it also pitches up, so it kind of leaves the bass range as time goes on. And I've also added this this arp, doing this minor chord sort of arpeggio thing that builds a lot of tension. And basically when I was making it, I just tried to make the most tense sounding arp I could. To add tension.
Bring the house down.
And now this pre-drop sample here is very short. It's half a bar. It starts in the 3. And you can see most of these are 1 bar or 2 bars long. It really doesn't matter which one you do. I wouldn't really go longer than 2 bars. 2 bars is probably the most common. You know, think about songs like All My Fucking Head Bangers, you know, that's 2 bars. Stop acting like a bitch, get your hands up. That's 2 bars as well. It's a very nice sort of formula to follow, but you can make one really short if you want, like in this one.
Bring the house down.
And then, okay, so let's move on to the next song, Whack. So this build-up is kind of different. Basically, we're just taking elements of the main theme and adding to it. So we're taking this part here, and we're adding the 4-to-the-floor kick drum underneath everything. We're adding another one of those sort of tension arpeggios, which is something I did in Spicy Future as well. We're making everything kind of louder and start to get a little more intense. And here is where the build-up really starts. So everything starts to, the loops start to shorten, those main synths start to loop faster, and they also are starting to pitch up.
You whack-ass motherfucker.
And then you have your 1-bar pre-drop there. Okay, so next is bring that back.
Hey, DJ, bring that back. 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 Bring that. Hey, DJ, bring that back.
Now this one is incredibly simple. All we have here is a vocal sample, some drums, some risers, and that's it.
Bring that back. Bring that back. Bring that back.
That's literally all that's happening here. It's just a vocal sample, that snare drum, and some risers. Nothing fancy.
Bring that back. Bring that back. Bring that.
So yeah, that's like a super simple build-up. Odyssey is, the build-up is really long. It's 16 bars instead of 8. And this is kind of because I wanted this to be like a set opener type track with a very, very long intro, very stretched out build-up that builds a lot of anticipation if I'm opening my set with this. And you can hear the main theme, the keyboard and the lead, they go all the way through the build-up, almost right to the drop. So it's a very kind of like a melodic and progressive sort of transition. And, you know, sometimes that works. Oftentimes, probably more often than not, I try to avoid using progressive chords in the build-up like that, but it just sounded good. Now for Bad Thing, I wanted to talk about this one because listen to what's happening with the chord progression in this build-up.
And if they mad and they don't wanna party.
So our build-up starts here using the 1 chord. And then it changes to the 6 chord halfway through.
And if they mad and they don't wanna party.
And then it resolves back to the 1. And this is kind of like a little music theory thing where, you know, you go from 1 to 6, and then it kind of builds tension on that 6 chord and hangs there. And you want to go back to the 1, and then that happens on the drop. So that's like a cool thing to do. If you use a 6 chord or a 5 chord towards the end of your build-up, actually like a dominant 7 is like a really nice chord to use in this example. It builds that musical anticipation of going to the drop. So that's just a little fun thing that you can do sometimes if you want to add a little more musical element to your build-ups. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. You learned something. Please like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our Patreon for some awesome exclusive benefits and special content that we're giving out every month. And also head to barelyalivemerch.com if you want some cool shirts and stuff. And yeah, stay safe out there, everybody. Have fun producing, staying home, staying nice and safe and quarantined. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.